Finally, I would like to go over a form that you won't see very often in the New Testament, and that's the Pluperfect form. And so instead of I have loosed or destroyed, for luo, you are saying something that is prior to a present time event by saying I had destroyed. I had destroyed. Or you had destroyed. Or he, she, it had destroyed. And so this is in English, this is a past perfect form. But in Greek, we call this the Pluperfect. And the way we form it is, it could have an augment. This augment, to show past time, is optional. It may or may not be there. But for sure, the Pluperfect form has reduplication, adds the stem, and it adds the kappa transformative. But instead of using the alpha as its vowel, it drops the alpha vowel and instead uses the connecting vowel epsilon iota. So it uses this diphthong. So the endings for the Pluperfect are kane, case, k, kamen, kete, kason. And so if I were to write this out, I had destroyed would be le luke came. The you had destroyed be le luke case. He, she, it has destroyed is le luke k. And in order to keep it separate from the first person singular, it does not have, this form does not have a movable nu. So it's le luke, le luke kamen, for we had destroyed, le luke kete, for you all have destroyed, had destroyed, and le luke kason, for they had destroyed. Again, you may or may not see that augment there, but minimally you have the reduplication, the stem, and then the kane, case, k, kamen, kete, kason as the suffix ending. There is a second Pluperfect form, and we can use grapho as an example of it, but it, again, like the perfect actindicative, the Pluperfect actindicative looks exactly like the first Pluperfect, except it drops the kappa. So you still have the kane, case, k, but you drop the kappa and it becomes ain, ace, a, no movable nu, amen, ate, ason. Add that to the stem, have reduplication, the optional augment, and then you go ahead and fill out this chart on your own for I had written, you had written, etc. This chart or the forms are all written out in mounts, so you can double check your answers in mounts, either at the back of the textbook or in the chapter 25 itself. And lastly, there is a Pluperfect middle passive form. Very much looks like the perfect, except it does not use the primary middle passive suffixes. Instead, it uses the secondary passive middle suffixes. So instead of my, si, tai, it ends with main, sa, ta, meta, sitte, ninta. It has no transformative, no connecting vowel. So you just add these suffix endings to the stem, have reduplication, you have the optional augment, and I will let you fill out this form on your own. This is also in mounts, and this is for the passive I had been destroyed, or if you want to translate in the middle form, I myself had destroyed or loosed. Lastly, I just want to take some time to help you understand the difference between the perfect tense and the pluperfect tense. What does that mean in terms of grammar? Well, So here's the person who's writing whatever text he's writing. And if you put something in the perfect tense, you're saying that something has happened in the past event, and that past event has an effect or a ripple effect up until the time of the speaker or writer. So if I say Jesus has been raised, that means at one time in the past Jesus was raised and he's still alive. He still is risen up until the time in which the person is speaking or writing. So that's how the perfect is being used. But the pluperfect is a past time event that also shares similar features but is different in this way. So for the pluperfect, suppose you have a past time event, but the effect of that past time event ends in the past. The effect does not reach the time of the speaker or writer. So the whole event remains in the past. That would be the pluperfect. Let's take the example of Lazarus. Lazarus, the brother of Mary and Martha, he had been raised in the past, and he stayed risen or alive until he did die again. Unlike Jesus' resurrection, Lazarus was merely resuscitated. So Lazarus had been raised, but he did eventually die again, and so the effect of his being risen no longer is true from the perspective of the reader or the speaker. And so that's the use of the pluperfect.